Hello. Today I want to talk a little bit about a subject that applies to people that are moving into the later parts of their lives, which I guess it really depends on the person what that means. We don't know how long we're going to live. And so, what is the later part of our life? I don't know. But, it's interesting where life puts us. And it's interesting the lives that we live. And let me establish first, we're talking a little bit about work and career here. This is kind of one of the things, and again, there'll be a little spillover, I'm sure, in my Welcome to Life program with this discussion. But, one of the things that drives me to this discussion is that, where I come from, my parents were very interesting characters. They were divorced, they were their, lifelong enemies. Very bitter. They had a very ill effect on each other's lives for quite some time. And because of their paths, they both pretty much worked till the day they died. My mother was pretty much working. She didn't. She passed away in her 50s, but she was working. To the very end, until she was diagnosed as being ill. My father was in his early 80s and was pretty much working until, the last couple of years of his life. And so, we get stories. Our parents give us stories, and maybe there's certain people out there who grew up with parents who had these sort of linear lives, right? You go to college, you do this, you get down, you get the promotion, you put the money away, you got your retirement accounts, your IRA, you do the math, and, at whatever age you are, 59, 60, 65, you retire, and then you go on the cruises, and you spend time with the grandkids, and it's like this sort of predictable thing. Of course, everything behind there is completely unpredictable. It's a mess like everybody else's life. But that aspect, that career aspect, is very, very the path that the linear path, as I call it. But of course, there's crazy amounts of people that don't fit into that category. The two categories that you might say are those, or one is people that don't want to stop working. People, they love their work, or they have a certain purpose to their work, and they've done very well maybe, and they just keep engaged in life. That's one of the how they stay engaged in life, is through their continued work. And then we have people who, for what, because of financial reasons, financial planning, financial execution, whatever they do, don't have the money to retire, so they keep working. Okay, and a lot of times that can go two ways. One is somebody can be very bitter about that. And it just feels like, why can't I retire? I'm stuck having to work. But that's all relative to our work. We hate our work. That's a burden, to be at an age where we're working because we have to, and we hate our work. That, and we really, really do hate coming to work. I've been people who are in that situation who love going to work. See, so the money is a tricky thing. Money is a tricky thing, and we have to be very, very careful as we get older. The most important thing is health, is our health and well-being. And I say this because we can have accrued a lot of money. We could say retire. Maybe we were able to retire a few years early. Maybe we retired at 60. We got a ton of money in the bank, and we can go out and we can drink ourselves to death. And there's many people who do. They don't have a purpose. They've lost their purpose in life, and they don't know what to do with not working. And so they slide off into something, or they take some dark habit from the past, and that becomes their lifestyle. And and then somebody might not have a lot of money, but they got a job that they kind of like coming to work to. And maybe they're working in their late 60s, and they're actually doing pretty darn good. You see? So there's a lot of, we have to watch our mind, how our mind deals with things, and that's why it's so important to shape our work into something that allows us to be healthy. Not from a place of fear of whether we can retire or not retire. Are we making enough money, not making enough money? The most important thing at a certain stage I'd say once we start getting into our late 40s, early 50s, the most critical thing is what can we do that allows us to stay mentally and physically healthy. And if we can put ourselves in that spot, we can freak out a little bit less about retirement and how much money we have. Even though I know we're always going to be, we never know. It's never fun to worry about finances. But at the same time, if we know that we can show up to work and get our day's work done and come home and be healthy, take care of ourselves physically and mentally, that's far more empowering in many ways than having a lot of money and not knowing, and having our mental and physical health just going down the toilet. You follow me? I say this because I meet a lot of people and myself, and I'm in my whole career is shaped by a financial roller coaster ride of extremes, because it forces me to have to understand the meaning of money relative to my teaching practice. I have to be able to speak to a lot of things, and one of those I have to be able to speak from experience from as many things as I can, which means I have to know what it's like to have. I know what it's like to not have. I have to know what it's like to be in a little bit of debt. I have to know what it's like to be in a lot of debt. I have to know what it's like to whatever. So that way, when I sit with people, I can say, okay, you get it, been there, done that. So life has taken me through a tremendous financial roller coaster ride, and it scares the crap out of me. On the other hand, I also know this is my school of life. I'm learning. And at the end of the day, if I can create some form of my work that allows me to be mentally and physically healthy, still knowing that I've got to show up to life, and I've got to do my thing, and it doesn't always come easy, for free, without challenge. But if I can do that, and I'm 70 and I'm still working, thank you. So for me, I don't have a retirement plan, not because I feel like I'm an idiot. I feel like part of the way life has shaped me is, how do you keep yourself engaged in life? How do you keep yourself having value in life through the course of your life? And how are you going to do that in a way that makes you still allow yourself to be physically and mentally healthy? So I feel like life has given me that challenge, and I'd rather show up to that challenge than worry about, I've never been on the linear path. That's not how I get to be the person that I am here, or be able to speak to those things. I would only be able to speak to the linear path if I was that person. So, yeah. So for all of those of you, and I know a lot of people who feel, I meet a lot of people, and I can sense they feel like kind of imprisoned almost by their place in life. We all do at times. But, as you get later in life, then you start getting more concerned about, wow, how's this all going to play out, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And we need to slow down and get back to health. That's the one thing that never changes. We never check out of health. We actually, the older we get, the more we have to check in. So what keeps us healthy? What is the position and the things that we can do to keep us healthy? And how do we leverage the experience that we have in life of all the things that we've done to move ourselves somewhere where we're not lazy, we're not going somewhere and we have no value. No one's going to pay us if we don't have some sort of value. But it's a place that allows us to take care of our physical and mental health. And I believe at a certain time of life, we can reward ourselves with that. Everyone should be able to, if we've got 30 years of work experience, we should be able to reward ourselves with a place that may not be easy all the time to show up to, but certainly gives us a chance to be physically and mentally healthy as we age. And so we have to own that. If we haven't figured that out, hey, maybe we haven't figured out how to make, $300,000 a year, or $1 million a year, $2 million a year. That's no crime. Some of us are not meant to figure it out. Some of us are not meant to be in that place. But if we haven't figured out how to put ourselves in a position that allows us to take care of ourselves and be healthy, even if we don't have a lot, we need to work on that. We need to work on that game plan. And there's always something. It may take us a step here. It may take us 2 or 3 steps to get to that place. But we've got to proactively get ourselves in that place. And if we don't, then we're not doing that, then there's something in our mind that is thwarting us from allowing ourselves to find a healthy place in life. Money is a very, very interesting beast. And I speak to this in a little more depth in my Welcome to Life program. But actually, you can look at, there's an article on my site about money. You might have to dig around on the Orange Engine online magazine. It's called It's All About the Money, Baby. And I talk about how money drives our past, not just the abundance of money, but also the lack of money. And it takes us through various lessons. We learn. Abundance teaches us certain things. Lack of things teaches us certain things. And they teaches us the value of things in life, teaches us the value of ourselves, teaches us of our priorities. Some people, it's a huge priority to have a big house and as many cars as they could have and maybe a boat. It's a priority. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Some people, that's the last thing on their list. It's not their priority. Well, life doesn't always give those people that kind of money because it's not part of their, for lack of a better word, their sort of genetic makeup of how their life is supposed to be expressed. Life is saying, how do you manage this? If I give you just this is what all that you need. How do you manage that? How do you work with that, you see? So money is, again, I'm going to get a little more depth here. Money is a fantastic teacher in life, and how our careers shape up are very, very interesting things. And, there's people doing things that seem like, there's janitors that are relatively happy. There's janitors that are miserable. There's very wealthy people that have companies that are very happy, and there's very wealthy people that have companies that are flipping miserable. So what does that tell us? It tells us if our goal is happiness, somehow we need to come back to the center of what does that mean? What is healthy mind, healthy body? And then how do we port that into our particular expression in life, regardless of where we sit in the financial scheme of things? What's that position in life that allows us to be that healthiest version of ourselves? Because at some point we just know we're not going to be this person or this person or this person or this person. I used to play music a lot when I was younger. I always knew I was never going to be a musician. I used to love writing songs. I used to have visions. I used to draw, design stages and costumes and all these crazy things. But I knew in my heart, I always knew I was never going to be a musician. And I go, God, that'd be really cool. If I really wanted to, I could make this happen. I was building things. I even had all kinds of things actually physically made, and I would put them in my room just to look at it and say, look, I could do this, and I could really kill this, but I knew it wasn't me. I knew it wasn't my end game. I always knew that. And so, there's things in our life that we get to in life and we can complain, I didn't get here, why didn't I get this again? But there's a certain point in life where we just know, you know what? That was never meant to be me. But there's always a wise version of ourselves. See? There's always a wise version of ourselves, whether we're here. There's always a wise version of that person, and that's the person we need to find, the wise version of ourselves. And that person will find the best outcome in the place that we can find for who we are if we unleash that wisdom, that wisdom of that person, and allow that person to find the place that it belongs. And time is not our enemy unless we never find that person. If we find that person might come out of us and say, hey, it's going to take 2 or 3 years or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years for me to navigate to that place. That's fine. Time is not our enemy. But if we never pay attention to that, we always get lost in our fears and things like that, and we never allow that person, that wisdom to come out and to find that part of ourselves, then time slips out of our hands. And then time, it seems like it's our enemy, but time's not the enemy. It's our inability to sort of grasp and that part of ourselves that can navigate us to a place that's sustainable, that doesn't have to do with this wealth scheme. It just has to do with that. What's that right expression for who we are? So that's a high level version. And again, all of my discussions are hopefully giving you a sense of comfort that wherever you are is the right place you need to be, and that this is all a school of life. We're all doing we're doing work, and we all have our unique expressions that have their best versions, and our goal is just to find out what that is and not force that to be anything. All right? So wherever you are in your career, in your expression with money, what is it? We're looking for healthy mind, healthy body, and wisdom. Healthy body, not expensive. Exercise, free. Good diet, cheap. Cheapest diet in the world is a good diet. Vegetables, fruits, simple things like that. It all gets out of hand when you start buying, fancy cuts of meat and snack food, which certainly we can eat a little bit of. But that's what gets expensive, is all the stuff that's not healthy for us. So we can eat really well on the cheap. We can exercise on the cheap. Healthy mind, healthy body, breathing, relaxing. What towards that? Yeah, if our work is really brutal and miserable, but then how did we get there? Why is it so brutal and miserable? If it's that bad and it's destroying us, if we get to a certain age, why are we still there? Why are we still there? Why weren't we able to navigate somewhere that's at least something where we can sustain some level of healthy mind and healthy body? Yeah? Okay? So, money works itself out. It just does. And it takes us through everything. It takes everybody through everything. Just like relationships. Relationships take us through everything. Money takes us through everything. Money will take everybody. People who have lots of money, believe me, they know what it's like to be this close to losing everything. Most people have some circumstance, whether it's a bad decision, a lawsuit, or something where it's like, oh my God, I can lose everything here. So money, like relationships, drags us through everything, drags us through the school of life. All right? So take a deep breath, enter the school of life, my friends. Show up, try to be a good student, and just try to make the best out of what you have to work with. All right? All right, that's my little chat on a very high level view of, especially if there's any, I don't even know if any young people listen to me. If you do, take a deep breath. You are young people. Part of youth is the capacity to make mistakes. Screw up often, take notes, learn, screw up some more, take notes, pat yourself on the back. Every time you screw up, give yourself an award for screwing up. But when we get to a certain age, that all flips. Then life says, all right, screw up time is over. Where are your lessons? Let's show up. Okay? So those of us get to past to a certain age, we got to start letting go of all the things we're screwing up. And we have to, beating ourselves up is not going to get anywhere, but owning our life, the rest of our life, very, very critical as we age. The more we age, the more we have to own our lessons, the more we have to own what we know about life. Young folks, deep breath, relax, plenty of time. Just try to move in the right direction. Try to pay attention. You're still in the school of life. It's still your job to learn. But breathe, relax, watch, see what people are doing, pay attention. Who's miserable? Who's happy? Who's smart? Who's not so smart? Learn. That's all you need to do, and you'll get there. Okay, guys, gals, thank you for listening. A quick little chat, and we'll move on. Love, strength, and wisdom.